Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Koii Town Hall. Sorry, they've been a while. Um, this can be a little different than most of the town halls we've done recently. One of the main things we're going to do this time is if you want to ask a question at the end, we require you to come on stage. That's going to be a rule going forward. Love seeing all of you in the chat, but looking for a little bit more direct engagement if possible. I'm going to be right back once we get our other guest on here. Marango's going to come up and chat with us about a few of the things he's working on. I see he's also here. Um, might give it a minute for everybody else to join, but hopefully the rest of the community can make it. If not, hopefully they'll see the recording. We'll see what's going on. I'm going to drop a couple quick messages on Telegram and I'll be right back. One sec. While we're waiting here, if anybody is feeling particularly interested in hearing answers to particular questions, would love to see those in the chat. I do want you to come up and actually talk about them, though. One of the things we're going to be doing is trying to get a little bit more direct community-oriented management. Because the thing with a network like this is we really do need the community on board for everything, or it doesn't really work. But yeah, I'm just going to send a couple messages on Telegram, and I'll be right back. Hey, Marango, there he is.
Hello. Hello, everybody else. Excuse the messy office.
Yeah, my messy office as well. Seems to be the standard. I guess that's what we do in bear markets. Such is life. Working away here, though. I guess this is probably the crew. We'll start talking now, and we can hop back to everybody else if we want. Things have been a little quiet from Koii lately. I'm sorry for the radio silence to everybody who's here. I think probably most importantly, we did not intend for the sale to go this way. I just want to squash any fears that anybody has. This is an intentional rug pull. We are incredibly dedicated people who have been building this technology for ages. Myself for like 8 years now, not going anywhere. I got a tattoo. My partner Tara also has a tattoo, also on her forearm. We're very much the Koii people. We're not going anywhere on this. We actually can't at this point. It'd be very difficult. I have to get a new tattoo. I don't want anything else that much on my wrists, so here we are. I think the key thing probably everybody's a little frustrated with is the follow through on development stuff has not been great lately. Hasn't been great for the last year, to be totally honest with you. The main reason for that, if I'm being entirely frank, is it has been fairly difficult to motivate people to build on an ecosystem, especially with the money splashing around in the rest of the crypto world. So getting the best engineers in to work on things and getting the follow through that we needed was difficult, and we struggled with some turnover at various points. The other thing that has happened, unfortunately, now with the token price down, is it has been hard to get other developers to come and build on the protocol. That being said, we still have a very, very dedicated node operator community. And since January, February with Prometheus, we have been working really hard to turn nodes into the powerhouse that can write the software that will then run on the network. In parallel, we have also been working on how to use all these computers a lot better. But I want to be really clear on something before we go forward, which is I am basically not the CEO of Koii anymore because Koii is down 97% and we can't afford payroll. So I'm not the CEO of Koii anymore. I'm just a guy who is working on this technology stack, and all of you seem to support the ideas that we've had about being able to use your computer to do big things. That's something we want to see go forward. We're still seeing several thousand people every day that are really dedicated and have kept their nodes online. And there's people that have had their nodes online now for I think over like 600 days consecutively, which is pretty cool. So there are some nodes that have never turned off. Myself being one of them, and I think a lot of the closer people to the project. There are deep community members who are running nodes, especially with the validators as well, who are never going to turn them off. So no matter what, we have a core group of people who will keep the validators online, and it seems to be that the community is not planning to uninstall the nodes. With that in mind, we want there to be lots of ways for you guys to make money off of all these nodes. And we think the easiest way to do that is to actually just give you the money that we would be making. So there's two ways we can make money right now. One is we can just use all the nodes to mine things and then distribute the rewards, which thankfully Marango has taken on as a huge project and is going to tell you about that in a minute. The other side of it is since we have all this compute, we can also start to apply it to some complicated problems that might have longer term payoff. Those don't help us right now, but they do help the token price. And every time that one of those milestones comes out, I think that's going to really help what we're doing here. We have been talking to a couple of other L1s as well about potentially becoming subnets on top of their ecosystems. Notably, Near and the Solana ecosystem are both interested in having us like kind of move into their cloud and start paying gas fees on their system. We're still a little bit, hesitant on how we're going to handle that, but it has been eye-opening at least to see how that fits together. And then recently, we also started talking to Cardano folks who are also interested. So there's a few people who want to have all these coin nodes come and work on their ecosystems, but we want to find ways to pay you guys first. And yeah, I see you in the chat. Thank you guys. Keep running the nodes. That's the core value we have here. We're trying to work on ways to pay you more for them. So the first thing we're going to do is there's a trading contest coming up on MEXC. That's a bit of a more serious matter. So with Mexi in particular, they have very stringent requirements on the number of people who are holding wallets with our token. And so if you guys are in the Koii community and you have Koii tokens and then you haven't put them on MEXC yet, we need you to do that. The reason for that is the more accounts there are holding Koii on the network, the more of a reason they have to keep our token listed, even though the token's gone down a lot. We want to keep the token listed because that opens up the door for all kinds of things we can do from the financial side going forward to help you actually, exit the tokens or potentially give you an upgrade to get onto another token. Yeah, so like I said at the beginning here, if you have anything to say, very open to feedback. We're going to expect you to come and actually say it on the chat, though. So, Elvin, I don't know what you're trying to do, buddy, but hop in. I'm not sure if that's a diss, actually. Maybe he's giving me a compliment. Anyways, we'll see. The main thing being here, we need everybody to go make an MEXC account. We're going to have some good ways to make that worth your while. We've actually talked to the MEXC people as well, and they're interested in doing a trading competition with Koii, which only happens if we get 100 signups with new wallets going into MEXC in the next like 48 hours. So if everybody does over the weekend go and make accounts on MEXC and deposit Koii tokens, doesn't matter how much you deposit, then we will get to do a trading contest, which will attract other people from the MEXC community to come and trade the Koii token as well, which is going to help us start getting out of the gutter a little bit. I think the sell-off has hopefully ended now. We'll see. Most of the people who dumped were kind of the early KOLs and a lot of the bad deals that were made. Unfortunately, we brought in some people to try to help us with the token launch who turned out to be pretty bad at token launches. And that was despite being highly recommended. I think people who get a good reputation for doing token launches in bull markets do not fare well in bear markets. But there's much more that we're going to be doing going forward. So with the MEXC trading contest, if you have a wallet and you put it in MEXC, then there's good things coming. I also wanted to show you guys quickly a sneak peek of what we've been doing on Tribe. So Tribe is the multi-agent orchestration tool that we've created, which is a basically, you can think of it as an AI manager. So you can have all kinds of AI running on your machines. Oh, and this is a sneak peek of what Marango's going to be talking about, but we'll get back to that. This is Tribe right here. So Tribe has now tons of agents running inside of it. So you can see this is one computer inside of here. There's another one. So we're getting into this virtualization world where we have all kinds of different machines doing different things. And the whole point of this is each one of these machines can be working on a problem in parallel. So what we're doing with Prometheus has really taken, everything from Prometheus has been taken to a new level. And that's going to allow us to do some pretty powerful things with building DAOs on top of Koii. There's more that we can talk about on that, but the main thing is we are now able to write software with clusters of AI agents, which means even though we might not have a really thick team at Koii, we might be a little bit shallow on the bench and people are working part-time and volunteering and things like that, but we can actually do a lot with that, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot more coming on the long-term R&D side and partnerships, but I think probably the lottery is an exciting opportunity for all of you that can pay you in the short term. So we actually, Marango and I have been on the phone for about the last 3 hours going over some of the details of where things are going with Koii and everything else that's going on. I guess most of the people probably already know you, but do you want to say a little bit about yourself from the background of you actually have a very deep background in the computer science world as well, which I think is really
Yeah,
important.
I've been in IT probably about 35, 40 years, punch cards right up to modern day stuff now. So I've sort of been through it all, the evolution of smartphones. I remember the old snakes on the Nokia flip phones back in the day, before all this smartphone technology came out. But I've only been in crypto sort of 2, 3 years, dabbled initially with some Bitcoin, sold it way too early. My mistake. You never know, do you, when you're self-learning? But yeah, I just sort of made some day trading. I sort of learned trading for about a year, did quite well out of that. Just seemed to be pot luck, I guess. And then sort of get into all the deep inside of things on Solana. So dabbled in meme coins, made and lost a lot of money on that. NFTs, I think we were talking about earlier, Al. But yeah, I've been sort of following the crypto space for the last 2, 3 years. It's not going to be my retirement, but it's a nice little portfolio to play around in. And obviously, then I found Koii and seen a huge potential in the market here with this diverse compute that we can make use of. So I took the plunge and started writing some tasks, and that's where we are now.
And I think the upcoming task is probably the interesting one.
Yes.
You,
So iScan is Infrascan was sort of born out of the fact that I didn't really myself understand the power of the core network. So I took the plunge, saw a gap in the tasks, and thought, well, why don't we actually do an assessment, a real-time assessment on the strength, the compute, the storage, the RAM, how powerful is the core network, and how are these nodes growing? So I built a task that will effectively do a static collection of data and a dynamic collection of data. It will run every hour, as you've seen in the task. I'll bring the node up in a second. But what it will do is it will capture your CPU, the amount of RAM, network connection speed, and eventually there'll be speed tests and other things. So it'll give you a nice envelope of a potential developer or customer coming to the network and say, well, how powerful is this supercomputer, this decentralized compute that we've got? So you will see on a web collection server real-time power of the network. There will be charts and stats in there in terms of every time the task runs on your node. You will upload a static. I've got a list here. I'll just run through some of the things that we'll be collecting. So again, I must stress there's no personal information being collected here. It's just your hardware. So your make, model, and physical core count of your CPU. That's paramount. The age of it, the architectural detail, whether it's a Mac, Linux, or Arc CPU, or whatever you're running on. The amount of RAM, the type of RAM, the configuration, how many sticks and DIMMs you've got, so from servers down to laptops. And ultimately, we will be moving over to mobile phones. Storage capacity, the storage type, SSDs, NVMEs, hard disk drives, spinning Rust. So that will obviously give capacity for the speed at which the network can run. Individual device specifications, the GPU if it's present, because that will factor in some other tasks that I'm planning later on. VRAM, driver versions, AMD, NVIDIA, the type, make, and model manufacturer, what platform you're running, OS, Linux, Mac OS, Windows, what version you're on, distribution and level you're on, whether you're virtual, physical, Hyper-V, VMware, any of these different sort of virtualization platforms. It will record your external WAN IP address and potentially your LAN if there's no issues there. I'm still deciding on what to do for that. What network adapter you've got, your connection speed, which is why you'll see some of the polls that Bob's put in the chat for us to sort of assess where we're sitting. System information, whether it's 64-bit, 32-bit, ARM processor, etc., like that. Your swap page file, how long you've been up. The important stuff, which will be the
uh,
dynamic building, is the stuff that you will get your node score. So your current uptime,
mhm.
how long your task has been running, when you started it, how many rounds you've participated in. And that eventually will be integrated into the node itself, the visual, which will give you a score or a uptime percentage. So some of my other tasks down the line will require a certain level of uptime to be guaranteed participation, because they will be paid for services that we will sell to the public, but we will make use of the back-end compute, which will generate revenue for the network. So yeah, there's a lot happening. It will manage time zones. It doesn't matter what time zone you're in. It will calculate how many times you may need to reboot your machine for patching, updates, node patching, any task updates, operating system updates, and things like that. So it's all geared up to give yourselves and the public an overall view of how the Koii network is presenting. And that will obviously feed into some other tasks that I'm developing down the line, which Al touched on earlier.
Pretty
So that's
comprehensive.
iScan. That will be rolling out. It is a beta test. I must stress, guys, that there will be updates frequently, but they will fizzle out. once I've managed to get a grasp of everything that's been going on, things will smooth down. But there will probably be a weekly update. I will be posting on the X feed. So if you can like and follow that, and obviously I'll be in the chat in the channel as well. But yeah, that leads up to foundation reporting, which people will gain confidence and be able to see sort of the strength and capacity that the Koii network has. So the more nodes we bring online, that compute resource increases, and it will be great for people to see and then use that
Just
network
want to
to build.
highlight. I want to highlight one thing you said, which is the fact that the people staying online more will actually get credit for it now, which I
Yes,
think is a really
correct.
important because in the previous iteration of Koi, which unfortunately has been like the last 2 years, we had problems with making sure that people who were loyal to the ecosystem got the best rewards. Um,
Yeah.
I think this is a really important way of showing which devices are actually online and like actually even segmenting them by operating system is really important because if we can tell that you have a laptop and that you're on every day, it's very different from someone's server in a data center being on every day. We need both of those kinds of devices, but we want to make sure that the people in the network are actually prioritized here as well, which is pretty important. So having all of this information and making sure that everybody actually runs the infrascan task like immediately is really, really important so that we can make this next step, right?
It's a core baseline task that I think everyone needs. And like you say, a laptop user might have a built-in NVIDIA GPU, whereas a server won't. So tasks that are designed that I'm bringing out later for a GPU task, the laptop user will get first dibs on that because obviously he's got the compute and the power to be able to do it. So there will be levels of, you may only have an 85% score, but you've got a GPU, you'll automatically be into the running for that GPU task because you've got the guts of what we need. So there's a couple of tasks coming up. I'll just touch on some of those as Hal hinted at there. There's going to be a mining app that I'm going to be building out on Android first. It'll obviously be the front end for the mining. We'll be mining certain crypto, which will bring in revenue for you guys, but we'll be doing it as a lottery. So you've got to be in it. You've got to be part of the process to be able to take part in getting a share of this lottery of the coins that we mine as a collective across the network. And obviously that's going to be a big thing, which I'll release some more details a bit later on. But that will be real money for real people. So the longer you're in it, the better chance you've got of each time that draws takes place to take a cut of the pie as such.
And you have to be doing infrascan before this so that you're in the list for now because
Yes, correct.
whoever's in
That
the
will
list the
be,
earliest wins. This is important.
yeah.
Yeah.
So run the task. If you're not running the task, you're not going to be included in the lottery. You'll be missing out on a potential
And
real revenue from.
if your roommate's running the task, go into your roommate's room and turn off the task, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Game
you'll be
theory
really.
optimum.
Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, there's quite a few other things coming up. So there'll be a lottery. Go out to Android first. I've mentioned in the chat there's quite a few restrictions around iOS. The App Store are quite picky about gambling, mining, and all those sort of things. I know other blockchains have had issues with the iOS side of things, but Android, no issues there. I've built that out. I'm going to be releasing that for testing. Probably, definitely, will be going to the VIPs first for first dibs on that. I think that's fair. We'll be testing that, and then obviously once it's all public release, we'll start the lottery up, we'll make big fanfare and announcements, and we'll publicly display how the revenue is generated in. You can see everyone's saying about my haircut. No, it's my children. It caused it to all fall out. Don't worry. You don't purposely cut your hair like
This is
this.
what it looks like. As
Um,
soon as you start working on Koi, you lose hair. This happened to me too.
no, no,
It's
children. Yes,
yeah.
two teenage kids. But so one of the other tasks will be a GPU task, real life, real world value around a GPU task that I'll be building out. Some audio tasks, not competing with Sono, completely different avenue there. And then obviously I'm looking at some hardware vendors, which I talked to. Sorry, a hardware design for running nodes. I'll touch on that a little bit more later on. I'm just doing a design at the moment for that, where you will have individual components to be able to run tasks on a chassis as such. So that's all going to be working out there to help the network. But yeah, Al, do you want to talk about the alternatives for running the
Yeah.
nodes on other platforms?
Um, want to zoom this out slightly from what we've been talking about. I think one of the key things that has really limited people. So you have incredible perseverance. Um, so far is that's what I've witnessed so far from you working with Koi is you've used all the systems, and you've gotten through all the hurdles to be able to actually deploy a task. That unfortunately is pretty hard. One of the main reasons is kind of the same thing that we discussed about how the information the information and the incentives can get misaligned. And so even if we know who the bots are, we still end up getting the tokens drained out of the wallets, which does happen for the vast majority of decentralized networks. So if you look at most of the big DePIN launches in the last 2 years, they all went through this. Tau went through it, IONET went through it, Helium even went through it with their Wi-Fi network back in like 2017, 2018. So pretty much every major DePIN has gone through this thing where all the tokens go to the wrong people. And that happens because you have bad incentive design when you set up the network the first time. And what it's turned out is writing good incentive design means testing a lot of stuff. So that's what we've been doing with Tribe and with Prometheus for the last like 6 to 8 months. If you've been wondering where I am, that's what I've been figuring out, which is how to test all of these kinds of incentive mechanisms so we can do more stuff with all the compute that you guys gave us. Because the trick is actually just having a lot of computers. You would think if you just had this giant pile of computers, a whole bunch of developers would turn up and figure out what to do with them out of like greed or interest or confusion or whatever. And it doesn't actually seem to work that way exactly. Actually, a lot of people do turn up, and a lot of people are very excited, and they work with it for a bit. And then the problem is, if we can't get them funding or we can't pay them a salary, then eventually they have to get a real job, and then it becomes a part-time thing. And that has been difficult. And what we've been trying to figure out for a while is how to get the time that it takes somebody to launch their product down by like, orders of magnitude. So step one of that was it's really hard to write an app and put it on lots of other people's computers. And so we made this app that you can already put on lots of people's computers. And so then you just have to write the task that goes in the Koii node, and it's a lot easier. So we did that first milestone and first hurdle over the last couple of years. The thing that's going to really accelerate now, though, is AI software development technologies have been accelerating dramatically. And so this is to the level that, like, about a year ago, using the best AI software, I wouldn't want to use it personally because it was annoying and it made so many errors that it wasted more of my time than I was getting out of it. And now I would actually like prefer to add more agents than hire more team, which is a very different way to live, and it's a very different environment because what it does is it accelerates a different kind of person. So at the moment, most of the time, if you want to launch a technology product of any kind, you have to be a highly technical person. You have to at least be somebody who's made all the mistakes at least once, because the first time you do it's never going to work because it takes so much longer for you to do it than it does for everybody else in the market that by the time that you launch your thing, you're behind. And that's even if you get through the finish line. And the thing that's happened more recently is now anybody who has access to really good LLMs, large language models, can actually build things pretty much faster or as fast as like a really good engineer. And what we want to do is to unlock this for everybody who has a Koii node so that you're actually voting with that compute power. But we're going to make it interesting for you along the way. So there's a couple things we're going to be doing. A few of them are things you already know about. So like partnering with DPINs that actually have something to offer to you. So like the Mysterium VPN network is a good step in this direction where we want Mysterium VPN to be something you can do with the Koii node because then you'll get access to a free VPN. So those are things that just benefit you guys, and we're going to try to keep collecting more and more of those kinds of things so that you can actually help make the world a better place and also, potentially get something for free. The best case scenario would be if we can all or we can make all of you a bunch of money, or if we can all make ourselves a bunch of money. And
Hope so.
that's where the AI software generation type stuff comes in. Because what we really want is for Marengo to have at least 20 different projects running on Koii with 20 different tokens that are all making money. Where hopefully you guys are helping us call the shots on that. Because the whole point of this is if all of us put our computers together, then we get the voting power on what the AI that runs on those computers does. And if the AI on top of those computers writes the software that uses those computers, then we all get a bunch of those tokens and we get to make a lot of value for everybody else. But it was a really significant barrier to entry about a year ago because you had to have a lot of engineers working on these things. And now you just don't need that anymore. So at the moment, I have about 25-ish agents running at any given time. I built Tribe. Well, the team at Tribe and I have built Tribe. So we have some people from Eliza OS and some like kind of actual Silicon Valley heavyweights. We have somebody from NVIDIA consulting on it. And so there's a bunch of these people that are now coming in and starting to see how decentralization can fit in. And the reason that they're interested is because they also would like to be able to be part of open source communities. Open source communities where all of the software is audited by the computers that are part of the network. And this is what Bitcoin's always been working towards. And we're actually pretty close to cracking this, which is pretty cool. But I think main takeaways for today are if you make an MEXC account in the next 2 or 3 days, then we get to have a trading contest with MEXC, which means the token price will go up and everybody who puts tokens in will make money, which is always good. Second thing is run the infrascan task, because if you run the infrascan task, then we get more information about the network and everybody wins. Third thing is make sure that you actually pay attention to the announcements coming out because there's a bunch of cool stuff coming out. And actually, the most important thing right now is we need to get the word out as we do things. Otherwise, the community will die. And there's a lot of people still running the nodes. We're going to start sending out more push notifications on the nodes, and we want all the people who are running nodes to actually pay attention to some of those because we're working really hard to write all this crazy software so that we can make it available to you guys for free. And our job is actually to make all of you rich. So if you do us a favor and help us, get through some of these milestones, it's going to make a big difference. If you have a friend that you invited to Koii who is not currently paying attention, the one thing I really ask is you get them to start paying attention again, or tell us what it is that they are not liking about what we're doing. So if you're telling them about all the updates and then they're not interested, we want to hear about that as well, because that's really useful to us to know what we can do to actually make this more interesting for people. Because to me, at least, joining a free lottery, getting access to a private VPN, and being part of an open source community that is leading towards a better world, those are all things I would do for free. But we're actually going to pay you to do all of those things. And so that seems like a pretty good deal for us. And I think that's probably why the nodes are still running. So yeah, I think we're really grateful that all of you are still here. If we can get the infrascan thing going, along with a few other sort of silver bullets that we have in the works, we're actually on track to pull out of this, which is pretty cool. Because there's a
Yeah,
period there
just
where it looked like the network might die, but it's definitely not.
yeah, just to add on that, guys. If you are running the task, you will be included in the lottery, etc., and other things that are developing. But it's going to be paramountly useful that the web stats will show to potential investors and developers where the nodes are distributed around the world. There'll be a full topography to show exactly where the countries are and where the nodes are sitting, not down to a town and village level. It'll just be sort of country geographics, but it will also include you in for potential airdrop eligibility for future projects or tokens released from myself and maybe some others that join in. So your uptime, social score, reputation, and confidence is paramount. So if you can run that task, it'd be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and just to keep in mind here, that gets you in on the lottery. But also, if you run the task and you give us the data, then we can get more OTC investors and institutional buyers in, and we can make the token price go up. So you win two ways no matter what happens. All you have to do is click the button. So we just need everybody to click the play button on the node for the iScan task.
Just on the MEXC issues for restrictions, will a VPN help? Has anyone tried running a VPN to buy sign up? I don't know if that's
Mm.
been tried yet.
It does work. You should be able
'Cause I'm
to get
blocked in the
around.
UK, but I managed to register when I was in Australia, so on my account it's still live. But if I try in the UK, it's blocked. But I've not needed to try a VPN yet. I don't know if anybody in the chat's tried it.
Yeah, I
Because then when you
frequently use the internet from Singapore. I highly recommend being in Singapore via your computer if you can. It's definitely the best option. Very available and usually doesn't get banned.
or
But
some of
yeah,
us with
so
accounts can help out. Either way, if people are happy to trust that, I'm sure a few of us trustworthy ones can buy on your behalf and send.
yes, it's not even about buying. We don't even actually need you guys to buy Koi tokens off the market. We just need you to deposit your Koi tokens that you already have, which is the easiest parts. So if we can get people to open accounts and deposit Koi tokens, then we get a trading contest, which is going to make a big difference. If not, we might get delisted from MEXC. So it'd be a big win if we can get 100 accounts in there. Um, you can have as many accounts as you want. If we have 100 accounts, we get a trading contest, which is going to really help the token price. And the token, I guess the final thing to keep in mind here is the price of a thing is what the market is currently willing to pay for it. It does not mean that's the value. At this point, the network has still over like 5,000 weekly active computers. So it's definitely worth a lot more than $170,000 just on the
Yeah.
base value of the number of computers that we have in the network. And that doesn't include the value of the community behind this and the number of really great technology products that are still being developed and worked on around the ecosystem. So the token is massively undervalued. The problem is that there are validators who sell into it, and there are people who got the token who probably didn't deserve it. And those people will continue selling off. There's nothing we can do about them, but we will ride it out, and eventually the buy pressure will come. At this point, we're expecting like January of next year to be when the bull market hits. People have been kind of trying to figure out, I think, when Trump is going to turn on the spigot for the U.S. economy, and this whole feud that they have going with the Federal Reserve there is making things very complicated. But the expectation is it's towards the end of this year or early next year, so we have some time to prepare. Um, we have actually we do have some updates on the decks as well. The team they're kind of shuffled a little bit, but we do have some people that are now working on it again full time. So that's coming together, and then we have a few other components on the network that will be coming out in the next little while. So our plan right now is about a 6 month goal to try to kind of re-release Koi into the next market, um, which means we just need to survive till then, and the market cap will definitely be a lot higher than $140,000 by by January of next year, almost guaranteed. It would be preposterous, I think, in a bull market for this company to be valued at that. So there's a lot of upside, I think, and the main thing is we just need to keep the stats and keep the network online. I do want to repeat the one thing though, which is if you have a friend that you told about Koi, because I imagine everybody here is here because they're actually the core of the community, which means you know other people that you've introduced to Koi. This is the time to go talk to them about it and see if it's something that's exciting to them, because there's definitely a lot coming, and it's going to get more and more exciting. So yeah, anyways, we're really happy to have all of you here. I do want to open the floor to questions. So anybody who is here, the point of this is a community. So Marengo, who I now know your actual name, but I've known you as Marengo for a long time, and Bobnimus, who it's incredible actually, because I think I mean I know Bob Nimbus very well now because we've been working together on Koi for a year. But your name to me is still Bob, which his name is
Yeah.
not Bob for anybody here. No, nobody here probably even knows this, but Bob Nimbus's name is not Bob, which is incredible, and that really got to me for a bit. And I still think of him as Bob. Because this is a decentralized community, so all of you can actually help us govern this, and we have this incredible machine now with Tribe that happens to write software on its own. So it writes the software and then it fixes the software and it iterates. So things are a lot easier now than they were. So it's a really good time, and I would love to hear questions from the community. But I'm going to insist that you turn on your microphone and talk to us. Um, Even if it's very garbled and we can't hear you, you just have to say hi or something like that with your microphone, and then you can ask the question in the chat if you want to. So we're going to open the floor
Just
to
as
that.
Al,
Would love to hear them.
yeah, just as Al mentioned, I had no experience in building tasks on Koi. TCN, Al, everybody's helped out. I've read around the subject, and Cursor is your best friend. So download it, use it, and just put an idea down into coding. ChatGPT, Cursor, there's a load of tools out there. The website's very informative. And if in doubt, just ask. People are more than willing to help. I needed help to get going. That's part of the community. No ideas are stupid. Just get them out, build a task, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah, it's not too hard. I think the other side of it too is we're also happy to help. So that's it's not too difficult for that. We really can actually deploy a lot with the AI
Yeah.
agents now, and it's mostly the game of building a Koi task is now how much time are you willing to dedicate to talking to an AI agent in a chat box? If you can do that for a while, you can build something pretty amazing, which is very cool.
Yeah, you have
It
some
doesn't
very
look like anybody has
organizations.
questions. Maybe we can coordinate a second Q&A session when everybody wants to turn on their microphones, and we'll see if we can get other people on the call. Um, I guess the other side of this is if you guys don't pipe up and actually tell us what you want, then we're just gonna have to keep building it the wrong way, which is unfortunate. So, can we get a show of hands in the if anybody wants a lottery where they can win free money without doing anything on their computer, please put a money sign in here. You can pick any of the money emojis you want. This is the one I'm going to choose.
Yeah,
And
no
anybody who
pressure on
does
me
this
then.
gets a permanent reputation boost on the lottery, I think. Cool. B9,
Yeah, you need
Dan,
to run that scan task,
B9
otherwise
again.
you're not in the list.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you still have to run the task. Yeah, definitely. Okay, we
You have
got
to run the
Bob.
task.
Bob, you don't count, man. Olive, cool. Lillian, Alvin. Um, how to
Yeah,
hurt.
Saxon not in it either.
What is this Elvin guy, man? Elvin, I think you got to get up here, man. You're shit talking a lot of people. Just lurking. I can't tell if he's being mean though. Do you think he's being mean? Is
The
is
language
Alvin
barrier is
is
great.
Alvin being aggressive with us or is he funny? He might just be funny. That's kind of how people make
He's
jokes
trolling.
out here. Oh, he's just trolling us. That's good. Cool. Thanks, Bob. Cool. Good. As long as we know who the trolls are. Okay, so we got 5 people in for the lottery. That's pretty good out of 20, I guess. We'll see how it pans out for the rest of you. The rest of you who did not say yes to the lottery, I guess, won't be making the free money, but we'll check back next week when we have more updates on the upcoming lottery. In the meantime, please make those Mexi accounts and stay tuned for more. Thanks for being on, Rango. Really appreciate everything you're doing.
All right. Yeah.
And
Chat.
I just want to also say thank you to Bob and the community managers who've been running the ship here for a while. You guys are doing great. I know things get very tense in the channel. I also realized for everybody who is upset that the token price went down, we can't control that. We got fucked over by Gate, which is an exchange. They dumped into our sale, which is pretty great. We gave them tokens and they sold those on the day of the sale. So if you want to be mad at anybody, go be mad at Gate. Just don't tell them I sent you or they'll delist our token. Cool. Second thing is bankers are not our friends. This is a decentralized community. We never really expected that bankers would be our friends, and then we had to deal with them to do a token launch. But now we have the token and it's listed, so it's only up from here. Which means every little bit of good PR, every time that you tell a friend, that's all leading to the token going up, and it's just a matter of faith. These things do grow; they just take time. Ethereum, for what it's worth, almost went bankrupt in its first year, and so did most of the other big ones. So this is kind of the way these things go. The token launch
Yeah.
is bad, and then about a year later, things start doing well. The good news is, if you count 12 months after the token sale, which is usually when a token starts to do well after it fails, that happens to put us right in the middle of the next bull market. So if we can survive to January from here and build some strong momentum, and everybody runs the infrascan task, we'll be in really good shape. And hopefully that's all
Don't
it takes.
forget, we've got half a billion, nearly half a billion Koii staked. So if everyone took 10, 20% out of their staking and dumped it into Mex, we've made the target. So I know there's a couple of guys that have done the same as me, just taken it all out, dumped it into my Mex account. Take about 6 weeks to earn it back. If for the long run, then what's 5 weeks?
Yeah, and
That's
we
my
will do
mentality.
an airdrop, by the way. So we know what the Mexi deposit addresses are, and if you make a transfer to one of those in the next like 2 days, you'll be on a list, and we got you covered.
Yeah.
So you know, it's gonna pay you back in multiple ways. We just need you guys to come and actually do the work. But thanks everybody for now. Thanks again, Marango, for
All
being on the show.
right, guys. No
Let's do it
problem.
again next week.
See you soon. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.